Shira, and I am an entomologist, not etymologist, which is the study of words, as frankly, my vocabulary is shit. But entomologist, which is the study of insects and spiders, arthropods, wee beasties as you call them here in Scotland. How many of you guys are afraid of them? Raise your hands. Don't want to be the one that picks them up? Yeah. According to statistics, 50% of women and 10% of men show fear signs to spiders. But that's according to Wikipedia, and unlike our creationist that we just saw, I don't let my students cite Wikipedia. Raise your hands again if you're afraid or just don't want to be the one that deals with the bugs in the house. Right? It's going to be a tough step for the rest of you guys. I have never been afraid of these wee beasties. When I was young, my grandmother would try to get me to stomp on the ants as they walked past in a row. I wouldn't do that. Instead, I would squat down and look at them, but not like an adult would. I would full-on squat, fascinated by these creatures, watching them take their day's glory of food home with them, ready to have an easy one in, put all 6 feet up, maybe watch a bit of David Attenborough, or perhaps Inside Nature's Giants, because to these guys, they don't even know what they look like. They really are giants. My friends call me the bug lady. When people ask me what I do, I say, I study biology. When my friends are around, they say, she studies insects and spiders, which inevitably leads the person that I'm talking with saying, ooh, I have spiders in my house that you can study. Really? I don't want to go there. I do more than a 4-year-old who collects them and puts them in jars. I put them in really big jars. Specifically, I quantify the communication behaviors, stridulatory events, successful copulations using an ethogram during a 300-second trial. Basically, I spent my PhD watching spider porn. Hours and hours of VHS video. VHS, not well funded in animal behavior. Spider sex. Starts with the female as she leaves a perfume or a pheromone in her silk, which attracts the male to start courting her, where she becomes, in essence, like one of Patty McGinnis's Take Me Out women, where she can choose to jump on the love train or no likey, no lighting. She likes the male to serenade her with his vibrating bulbous palp. She wants to see his big, black, hairy leg waving in the air, and yes, scientifically proven, the larger, the better for the ladies. Once she sees this, she'll give her receptive display, which usually involves her coyly laying her front legs out, raising her abdomen in the air, ready for the male to mount her. To make sure, she sometimes gives a swivel. I guess it's one of the few times where you can say, the third leg, well, it really is a third leg in this case. I wanted to see if all they need was love, thank you Beatles, another well-taught taxonomically studied group, was needed for the male to convince his potential baby's mama that he was a mate and not a meal. However, sometimes it did end with a bit of S&M because she chose to eat him. But can you really be too surprised by that? I mean, they do come with their own super strong silk to tie things up. Yeah, when people ask what I do, I say I study biology. If they ask more, I say I study insecteering. What? People usually give me? Yes, how insects hear, not insecteering, which, if it was insecteering, I wouldn't be doing too badly. I would be having a badge for my undergrad studying butterflies, one for my master's parasitic wasps, one for spiders, and several during my postdoc. We've got locusts and lacewings, cicadas. Basically, I'm ready to be a troop leader, in case anyone's offering. I'm finishing my postdoc here at Strathclyde, where I'm actually in an engineering department. And let me tell you, engineers are well funded. I get to use fancy tools like a laser vibrometer that measures actual movement of the eardrum on an insect. Took a bit of adjusting, though. I had to convince the office why I needed to buy the more dear organic lettuce as opposed to regular lettuce, but when you're studying a locust and organic is not using pesticides, you get the point. So they finally accepted my receipts. When one of the workshop men found out what I studied during my PhD, he said to me, spiders hear through their legs. Impressed, I excitedly replied, yes. He then continued, if you pull them all off, they kind of hear you say, "Woo!" A final example, Walter. Walter is lovely. He's been with the department for ages. Wouldn't function without him. But Walter whistles. I do sound trials. He's adding more sounds. One day, when I had the locust hooked up, so its auditory nerve was hooked up to a machine called an oscilloscope, which basically takes sound, hits the eardrum of the locust, electrical signals through the nerve, and then translate into a visual signal that you can see. I call Walter over to show him how my insects hear and respond to sound. I show him how they hear clicking, how it hears a door slam, how it hears whistling. I think he finally got why I'm so anal and want it quiet when I'm running my sound trials. Actually, it's great being a biologist studying neurophysiology of how insects hear. It's one of the few times where I'm not considered crazy for talking to my animals. I have to know that it's properly hooked up. Locust, can you hear me? Great, he's listening. Locust, I'm sorry for conducting open heart surgery. Because to hook his auditory nerve, I have to cut open the thorax to reach the ganglia. Locust, at least your life will lead to publications and a spot on Bright Club Comedy. As an animal behaviorist, you come to grips with the fact that you are, well, odd. I spent my PhD watching spider porn. I will end with this, a piece of advice that I got from my PhD advisor. He was in Mexico doing field work, observing a group of spiders on a bush, talking into a handheld recorder, when the local authorities saw him, did not know what was going on, questioned him, and after a bit of harassment, he basically calmed them down with his piece of advice, and advice I take to heart. It's okay, officer. We're biologists. Thank you.